Hey guys, it's Jim Halterman from TV Guide Magazine and TVinsider.com. I'm here with some of the cast of This Is Us. Welcome everybody.
Hey.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you.
Before we dive in, I just want to remind everybody that the SAG-AFTRA Foundation does have a COVID-19 fund. So if you are in need of some help, all the information is below the screen. So please reach out if you need some help during this troubling time. But let's talk about some other troubling times, as in the Pearsons, because I just want them to be happy sometimes, but that's not life, and that's not why people love the show. But season 4 was such a great season, so first of all, just congratulations to all of you. It was wonderful. We're talking mostly about the Hell of the Week episode, part 3, which was Kate's episode. And I want to know, because I'm such a fan of the show, that I get excited when I either get a screener or I get to watch the show live on Tuesday nights. How is it for you guys when you get a script? Because I'm guessing you're all waiting to see what Dan and the writers are coming up with next. But what's it like? I'll start with you, Mandy. What's it like when you get a script in your hands?
I mean, not to speak for everyone, because you guys get a chance to chime in, but I think we're all just equally thrilled. You know, that we start off the season and kind of have a general overview for what is going to be happening with our characters over the course of the season. And then I love going into the writer's room. They get so excited telling you what's going to happen to your character. And then they're like, but do you want to hear what happens to Kate too? And then they're like, go off on a tangent. And like, before you know it, you've been there for 2 hours and you know what's happening to every single character during the course of the season. But we don't know until we get those scripts, like what exactly is going to unfold specifically. So yeah, it's equally thrilling, I think, for us as it is for the audience, because we're kind of in the dark to a certain extent as well.
So Chrissy, since this was a very Kate-centric episode, how was it for you when you got the script?
Well, you know, I'm always very eager to read it, but I'm also kind of afraid because I'm like, what is going to happen? You know, we have, like Mandy was saying, we have sort of an idea, but then you get to like really the intricacies of what's going on in the development of course, Rebecca's character and then Kate, and how this is all going to be affected by, you know, how, the ripple effect throughout the family. And so I'm always like, okay. It's one thing to read it, it's another thing to actually do it, right? Because, you know, whether things are really close to what you're going through personally, or you know someone who's going through that, you're like, oh, whoa, okay. So, I mean, I'm always excited to get a script because I know it's either going to be really challenging or cathartic or any of those things, because we're not just acting, like we really are sort of living these parts of ourselves through these characters. And so that, and then coupled with Justin directing the episode, I was like, okay, I am really intimidated right now. I literally told him, I was like, Justin, I'm afraid. And he's like,
yeah, well, I said you should be. They gave me, listen, I came down hard on these two ladies. I was like, Mr. Negative here. Just everything is wrong.
No, he is.
Yeah,
totally
your reputation
kidding.
preceded you, Justin.
Yeah, exactly. But Justin, you know, you're not in the episode all that much, but you did have a big role since you directed it. How was your preparation for that? Because I know you don't start prepping one episode right before shoot. Like as a director, you're prepping long before. So I'm guessing you had a lot of overlap.
People need to get a hold of me, apparently. So the way that they sort of worked it, and it was kind of by design, is that the episode, so there were 3 episodes, the Hell of the Week part 1, 2, and 3. And we shot them out of order by design because I was directing the episode, where obviously when I'm directing, you need to be behind the camera, behind a monitor, hopefully, as much as you possibly can be, and not in front of the camera. And then the prep takes place the week before the shoot. So you get like 8 days to prep, 8 days to shoot. And so the episode prior to that we were filming was Randall's episode.
Right.
So I wasn't in that one very much either. So I got to prep in earnest like the whole entire time, which was good. So that's kind of how that worked. They did me a favor in that regard for sure.
And what would you have done if by chance, because I know that does happen sometime when you are in the episode, that's how it plays out. Would you have liked to have been in the episode, or would that added a whole other layer to everything going on?
Both. It adds a layer. I mean, it's possible. It definitely adds a layer. Ben Affleck does it seamlessly. I've done it before, and it's different. It's challenging. You have to constantly remind yourself when you're in the scene that you're acting, and you don't want the directing thing to take over the scene that you're acting in. And then it's kind of just cumbersome as far as like time goes. It's like you're you have to then go back and watch it, of course, before you move on. But I had someone at the monitor that I really trusted, kind of giving me the thumbs up or like the we need to go again. You don't know. You feeling pretty good about something, and people are like, well, that was terrible. So yeah, this was a dream. This was like working with. I mean, I'm this, Jim. I'm working with the best of the best. I truly believe that. I think most people believe that. And if you've ever watched our show, you would agree with me. And so I got that. I got a great script. I have actors that are not only gifted artists and the most talented in the game, but they're also eager to learn and receptive to new ideas, which is kind of a hard thing to do. I think it's a rarity when you find someone who's that good at what they do, but also willing to maybe listen to something from a different perspective. It also sort of speaks to why they're so good, to be honest with you, I think.
Well,
but can I also just jump in, and I know Chrissy will piggyback too. Working with Justin was just the experience of a lifetime. I mean, I think as he's such an extraordinary actor, but also he knows and has a lens on this story and these characters that is so unique and specific to his experience as Kevin Pearson. So he brought all of that to the table as a director, but honestly, it like the little like nuances of, I remember in particular, like the scene at the diner with Hannah and, oh gosh, what's his name? The guy who played Mark, sweet actor guy. Yeah, you did, like, it sat down next to me and you just sort of whispered something like, what, do you think we'd be here at all if Jack were still alive? Do you think that Kate like would have been interested in dating a man like Mark? Would she have been attracted to that had her father still been alive and in her life? Anyway, so we'll go in a couple minutes, and it was like you just injected this question that it seemed like as soon as you said it, so obvious, but like it changed the entire perspective of the scene for me. And you just were able to kind of feed us these little nuggets and give us freedom and space to like explore things. You had so much trust in us as actors and knowing the journey of these characters, but also like as your friends. And it was such an extraordinary experience working with you. I can't wait, hopefully, to do it again before this show is all said and done.
Yeah, hopefully they give me a few more of those. That would be great.
Yes.
It would be really great. And I mean, Mandy, you really said it so perfectly, but there was always like just a little 1-2 words that you would say to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, yes. Okay, right. Like that scene when, Rebecca's like, just put your bathing suit on. Just let's go. Yeah. And it was such an emotional scene for so many different reasons. And you took your time, but like you also like you were never stressed and it didn't put stress on us. I don't know how the hell you did that.
What's the stress out about? Look who I'm working with. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's like before I get out of bed, before I go to bed, I'm like, tomorrow, gonna be great. We lost lamps. We lost time. We lost time with children. We lost locations. We had actor conflicts. We had everything under the sun you could possibly imagine. We had weather. We had everything you can imagine.
Wow. And
it's like, this is the way. It's kind of fun. It's the way it goes, right? They're all happy accidents, right?
Yeah.
It's fun, and it's going to be great because of the commitment of the actors. So incredible. I had these two. Because I had to shoot the scene. I had these two in a pool.
Yeah.
It wasn't very warm. I think they'll both tell you that. It was not very warm. It was a cold night. It wasn't very warm. It was raining. We were losing time. We were like pressed for time. And it was that scene in the pool. It's an extremely important scene. It's like, this is the crux of the whole thing. Like we have to nail this. And I just forgot about the time. I think if you're constantly looking at your watch and you're worried about the time and you right? I mean, ladies, yeah. Right? You sense that from the director, right? And it's like, well, we're gonna get it. It's gonna be fine. It's cold. You're wet. Everyone's miserable. And look at that performance, though. Look at that performance.
Yeah.
But your energy leads the charge, and everyone. We've been lucky enough to work with this crew for pretty much the entirety of the last 4 seasons, and they pick up on your energy. Like you set the tone, and the fact that you weren't stressed, and there were sweet gentlemen in our crew, like in wetsuits, holding umbrellas over Chrissy and I as we were shooting coverage because it's raining and I'm in prosthetics. Like and for I would have bet money that we would have had to have reshot all of that, just because I was like, this is crazy. Like, we're in the rain and it's like supposed to be 70 and I'm melting and this is crazy, but we managed to make it work. But you were amazing. You never freaked out. And so therefore, like Chrissy and I didn't freak out on it.
Yeah. Honestly, to date, one of my favorite directors, actors ever to work with. And really, 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 I say that to every single person, whether you're in front of me.
Can you say that to Ken Olin?
Yeah. I'm happy to. And we have.
Yeah, I love it. But we also get to see Chrissy and Mandy. You get to sing together, which the fans always go nuts over. I go nuts over it. And I love the show. The show doesn't lean into that too much, because then it could become like maybe too forced or something. But it was such a natural thing to see them do karaoke.
Yeah.
How easy was that scene to shoot, or how complicated was it?
Well, there's always the technical stuff, right? Like to make it look like as if you're really singing karaoke with the monitor and the script, whatever. So we didn't have the words on the TV. But thankfully, Mandy and I knew it, and we did a pre-record. But Mandy's like, Chrissy, I think we should just sing in real time, because that's the energy that you want to give. And for Kate in particular, it's like finally when she and her mother are on this really beautiful path of their relationship, she's starting to lose her mother, in a way, in a very big way. And so playing that in the song, but like also finding the joy, like it was very tender and really fun to do. And of course a really fun song. So it was, I loved that scene.
You want to hear a funny little anecdotal story about that scene?
Yeah.
I don't think I've shared this with the two of you either.
Oh no.
So, by the way, I'm doing this new thing. I don't know if it's COVID or what, but I used to say either, and now I'm saying either. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're on the day, and it's supposed to be karaoke, and they have pre-recorded the scene in a studio. Keep in mind, I'm dealing with not only two professional actors, but two professional singers. Okay, so there's that. So on the day we're supposed to have, and I was told that we would have a monitor. Much like exactly like a karaoke event, right? I don't karaoke, but you get up there and there are the words and the bouncing ball that tells you what you're supposed to say and whatever. Well, that thing took a poo-poo, I guess, because we had no words. There are no words on it. I don't, So they're trying to figure this out, and Mandy and Chrissy are sitting in the green room. They're just off the set, and I'm at Video Village with everyone else, kind of just off the set around the other corner. So I'm not with the ladies. And they're coming to me, and everyone's kind of panicking a little bit, because they're like, well, we don't have the words. We don't have the monitor. The monitor's not up. How are we going to tell them? And I was like, what? And you can say, like, I don't know how to tell them that they're supposed to do this scene that we told them to do, that they're going out on a limb, they're singing together, and they already pre-recorded it. We don't have the words. And I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, well, I don't know. Let me go in and tell them. Let me find out what's going on. I go, I'll tell. They like me. So I go in there, and I'm like, hey, so here's the deal. I was like, there's some kind of a problem with the monitor, I guess. And they're like, what's the problem? I'm like, well, the problem goes like this. We don't have it. We don't have it. We don't have it. And they were like, oh. And then Mandy she looks at Chris, she goes, well, do you want to just sing it live? And Chrissy's like, yeah, I'll just sing it live. And I'm like, you guys just want to sing it live then? They're like, yeah, it'll sound better because it won't sound pre-recorded. It'll be more natural, more organic. And I was like, oh yeah, good idea. Okay, cool. So that's kind of what I was angling towards, but I knew that was probably not a great idea to like go in there and be like, do it live. But they offered up. So I walked back into the other room by the Video Village, and I was like, yeah, no, I got them. They're fine. They're going to do it live. It's all good. I sat back down. Everyone's like, wow, you got them to do it live? And I was like, no big deal. It wasn't even my idea. I just took it.
You handled it beautifully.
Customers.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Let's love it. Mandy, I wanted to ask you, outside of you playing Rebecca at different points in her life, you also get to work with all the Kates. And this is a good episode where you're kind of working a little bit with all of them, I think. Do you see the characters the same, or do you have to approach it differently depending on the actor? I was always curious about that.
Well, I mean, I think at every different juncture of her life, Kate is in a different headspace and she's a different person, and so I guess I approach it all differently. And it's fairly seamless at this point, because it's like, I know just given the clues of like what I'm wearing and do I have a wig on? Do I have, prosthetics on? Like it's so much easier. Like I only work with Justin and Chrissy as their mother present day. And that's how I know them. And that's like my connection with them. So it's, I don't know. It's like, I'm able to sort of 72 episodes in now, like get in that frame of mind, easier than in the beginning of, season 1. And the same with the rest of the Kates. And, it's just like the greatest gift in the world. Cause I do I'm the one person that gets to work with everybody. And it's so much fun. And it's so interesting to see how our younger actors, whether it's Mackenzie and Hannah that like clearly have been watching Chrissy, or, Parker and Logan who've been watching Justin like over the last 4 seasons, and like they're able to interject like little mannerisms as they've gotten older, and it's like more nuanced now. And it's incredible. I mean, it's just been such a fun journey for that, perspective alone, to sort of watch everybody kind of grow up and bring all of that knowledge along with them.
Yeah, Chrissy, when we have a big part of the episode that's about Kate as a teenager, and we have this whole storyline with Mark, and how much are you paying attention to that? Because you don't have to connect to it directly in your storyline, but yet it is very important for Kate in her life. So how do you watch that? Because this episode in particular had a lot with Mark and what happens when they go to the cabin.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to watch, because I know that I've been in a relationship like that, and I know a lot of women have, or men have been in a manipulative relationship. And so as Chrissy, and then of course as Kate, it's like, wow, like this informs so much of the way that she reacts to Toby, or the way that she doesn't react, or her insecurities and the issues that are still bubbling up to the surface that, and we're going to come to find out more stuff that, has gone on between them. And so, yeah, all of that informs the decisions that I make, even in the present day, because you've come through some of it, but there's still stuff that will always, I think, remain.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Justin, how did you approach working with the very small Kate? I don't know how she was, maybe 3, 4.
Isabella.
And Milo had talked about working with the kids a little bit, and I've talked to Mandy about it. But how was it to direct? Because you need to get certain reactions out of them, and sometimes they do, maybe sometimes they don't. But how was your experience in this episode?
Yeah, she's a little kid. She's a little toddler, and she acted like a little toddler. And at some points, and I mean, the girl came with all of her lines. She knew all of her lines. She knew them inside out, upside down, backwards. And I honestly wasn't prepared for that. I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a struggle with that stuff, because I figured the little toddler would act like a little toddler, right? And she came like ready to go, and then we bribed her. Yeah. No, we she was excited to do it. I think it was kind of I remember sitting sort of by myself thinking, okay, this could be a disaster, because it's a kid that you have like hold still for a long time over and over and over and over again. That's like a recipe for disaster for a child. It's a recipe for disaster for me too. I can't really do it well either. But I think the fantasy element and all of that stuff, like she's running through a forest. There's flowers everywhere. She's dealing with Milo. He's the kind of guy. And I think, she just really got a kick out of it. I think, and she was so adorable. She's running through caves. We've got her doing all this fun stuff. So I got blessed in the fact that it wasn't just sitting there. There was the bedtime story was a little difficult, but also super fun. I think she nailed it. Milo was great. And it was just a dream. I mean, from day one, it was amazing. It was wonderful experience.
Yeah. Mandy, how's that been for you? You have a little bit of work with her in this episode, but in the other episodes, you do have a lot of time with the little kids. How's that been?
Oh my gosh. Bringing in like a new age group has like just injected like this new infusion of energy. It's so much fun. And those kids specifically, because, they're like 4. They have their own personalities, and clearly sometimes they're 4, so they want to listen, and then other times they don't. So it's interesting to see like how much time do we really have? But they're all such like little sweethearts, and they're just little love bugs, and they want to like clamp to you and give you a hug and not let go. And I mean, I just loved in this episode in particular seeing that the hero at the end of the story was mom. Poor Rebecca, like, just never gets to serve in that role in the story of this family. I mean, I think it's sort of like we're kind of negotiating our way over there, but, you know, for season after season, it's been superhero Jack who's been on this pedestal even long after his death. And it's nice to see the acknowledgement of, like, mom being the glue and holding things together. And I, like, when I read that, I bawled, thinking about my own relationship with my mother and parallels and stuff. And so I thought that was such a sweet moment with her, like, running out and giving me a hug, and yeah.
That's very sweet. Chrissy, this episode's also a good one for Kate and Toby, who we've seen them going through a lot this whole season, given the baby and everything. How has it been just overall working with Chris on those scenes? Because what I love about them is there's so much stuff happening under the surface, which I feel like is very real in relationships. A lot of times you don't say what you need or what you want. It's just all that tension comes there. But you guys play it so well. Mm-hmm. How has it been working with him this year on all this material, especially this episode?
I mean, Justin and Mandy can attest. Like, Chris is such a love, and he is... like, he makes everything just easier and so much more joyful. But, like, I also trust him so much that I know that we don't have to do too much, that we can literally just sort of be and say the words. And yes, there's so much going on underneath, but there's an understanding that he and I have, and I'm sure any actor who's worked with a particular actor as a spouse or a boyfriend, whatever, girlfriend, that there's sort of like an unspoken sort of conversation that you're just like, okay, we're here and we're doing it. And Chris has that ability to just, like, not do much, but do so much at the same time. And, there are those moments in relationships where so much is being said or needs to be said, but it isn't. That tension is, I think that we play that. It's not always easy, but I think we really make a concerted effort to play that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's just the best.
That's beautiful. Justin, when you're shooting scenes like that, where it's a very confrontational scene, how much do you step into that as a director? Or how much do you stay back just so they can do their work? Because the camera is there, if you know what I mean. But you also don't want to get in their way. But how do you navigate that, especially with a big scene like we would see between them?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on how it's going. Like, my sort of approach has always been, I don't like to give a lot of notes before I see it. I don't like to give a lot of, especially with these actors, I think that look, I mean, they're world-class actors, right? So I like to see what they're going to do. And typically, so I have something in my head, kind of the way I see it. And then when I see them run through it, and they'll do rehearsals at full speed.
Yeah.
We don't do, like, it's like blast off. Rehearsals are like a lot of times we will film them, because it's like, if the camera knows where it's supposed to be and the actors have their marks, why would I not roll on this? Because the rehearsal is like take one a lot of times. It's great. And so I like to see it. And then once I see it, it's usually a little bit different than what I had imagined, always different than what I had imagined, and always typically better. Very rarely will you watch something and be like, I think that's a little off. I mean, it's typically better. They're great. Yeah. And so now you're on a different level, and you're kind of playing catch up, and you're trying to help more than direct. I think I did a lot of helping. I don't know if I did a lot of directing necessarily. It would just work with everyone is my whole thing. And then sometimes when it's going so well, which it typically does on our set, you do. I mean, part of your job as director, I think, is really to get out of the way sometimes, and sort of maybe, and like Mandy was saying, Chrissy was saying, maybe I'll just say like 2 words here, 1 word there. But I certainly don't want to stop the train. I don't want to slow the train down. I just want to, like, catch the train in the nick of time, maybe whisper 1, 2, maybe tiny little things, and kind of get off and watch it go. And I think that's a wonderful approach if you can do it. And when you have actors on that like we do on our show, I think it's an easy thing to do and appropriate.
Yeah. Mandy and Chrissy, are there directing aspirations? Would you like to do some of this behind the camera work?
They should.
No.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
I have more interest in, like, co-writing an episode before I even think about directing.
Great.
I don't know if I have issues with telling people what to do, or if I don't trust myself enough. I don't know, guys. I'm working on it. Thank God for quarantine. I do think it takes a special skill set you know. And Justin, you did that. So you were so great about letting us have our space and respecting what we are going to bring to the scene, but also caring so much. And it's very delicate because you could give a suggestion or a word and that's your perception, but like it might not be what the actor wants. It's very delicate, I think. Very delicate. And I think it's very impressive, but I don't have any like short-term dreams or aspirations to direct right now. No.
But Mandy, you're ready.
Sure. Yeah. Whenever they want to give me a chance. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll figure it out. I feel like what better training ground than on this show where we feel so comfortable with one another. As Justin said, like everybody is extraordinary from the top down. The writing is exquisite. Our crew, we're a well-oiled machine. I mean, pandemic aside, things might have to change a little bit, but you know, I just feel like it'd be so much fun, and I'd probably kick myself if I didn't take advantage of the opportunity while we're on the show.
Yeah.
You both should.
Any director that's also acted, because Ken Olin had a big acting career, he still acts once in a while, but what's the difference when you have a director that was also an actor than a director who's just a director? Is there a difference where you guys sit?
There's a shorthand that I think actors who are also, or directors who are also actors get. And you're like, oh, okay, like you've been in my shoes, you know what it's like.
Yeah.
You can communicate, I think, in a way that other directors who've never acted can't really, to some degree.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I think.
Okay, that's all good. Well, you guys, congratulations. I mean, I'm such a fan of the show. I'm so excited I get to cover it for the magazine, but it's great talking to you guys always. And hopefully season 5 will be coming sooner than later, but I know we have to all be safe, but you guys will get back to it. So thanks for your time today.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you.
Always a pleasure.